Hey everybody, welcome to the Wicked Ones podcast. This is Tara.
And this is Jen.
How are you doing this week?
Fabulous, I think. How are you?
You think?
I think I'm just gonna, what do they say? If we just keep saying it and saying it and saying
Say it with
What's
a
the
smile.
word? I can't think of it. Manifest. I'm gonna manifest my fabulousness. So that's what I'm doing.
Nice, I love it.
Nice.
I'm actually doing really good. Our house is super merry and cheerful right now, and I love it. I mean, every morning now that since we've only had the house decorated for a couple of days, but every morning Chase comes running down the stairs and goes, "I love Christmas time," and he dances around looking at all the decorations. It just makes him happy. It makes us all happy. And
that's nice.
Yeah. So
we have our stuff up. It makes it feel cozy.
It does. Yeah.
And then by the time Christmas is over, I'm like, get this stuff out of here. I can't handle all the clutter.
It's so funny because I'm looking around, and I told Billy the other day, I wish we could keep the shelf all year. This is it makes me so happy. But talk to me in January, and I'll probably be like,
eventually I'm done looking at it. Yeah, but I get it. Yeah, so 'tis the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super exciting, and we hope that one day we'll be able to see our family. So we're gonna, like I said, think positive, and hopefully we can see people over Christmas.
I really hope so. It was a different Thanksgiving for us, that's for sure. But I think we left you all off when we were still deciding, and we didn't see our family, and it was.
My brother didn't come. That was a sad day.
Yeah, we were bummed. We did FaceTime, which everyone appreciated. And this was actually the first year I've ever cooked a holiday meal. So that was kind of interesting. Billy deep fried a turkey, and Ava and I took care of most of the sides. And it was kind of nice, actually.
Nice. We usually host a ton of people. So.
Yeah, you do. We never do. We always go see family, and they always have it covered. And they won't even let me bring a thing because we travel. So usually I just kind of help with what they have. But this was crazy, just getting everything. And it turned out great. Everything was wonderful, and it turned out delicious. And it was we created our own new memory this year, which was fine. It was fun.
Right. Yeah, I think it turned out to be a good thing for most people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did discover a new show.
Ooh, which one?
Steve's parents. Well, it's the same one your dad told us to watch, and Steve's dad told us to watch Yellowstone, which is amazing.
It's on the list. Yeah, you like it so far?
Yeah, it's kind of... Kevin Costner is like this cowboy figure, so it's very cowboy and Indian, which is not my style. But it's got just enough drama, and their family is crazy enough to make me think my family feels normal. So
yeah,
it sucks me.
That's always good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's definitely not kid friendly, not even in the slightest.
Yeah,
but I'm glad we watched it.
Good. Oh, that's nice. So, maybe that'll be our new show because
we're only on episode 3, and we'll probably follow up, you guys. You'll probably hear me 2 years from now talking about how we finally finished Yellowstone. We're terrible at.
I'm still trying to finish How to Make a Murder.
I only allow myself to watch it when I run, so I don't get to see it very often. But now I'm hooked. Like I said, I think Frank's dead.
I know, you sent that to me yesterday.
He went looking for Laurel, and he got caught by Laurel's brother. And he would not help him, and it did not look good where I left off. Okay. So I really wanted to run today before we recorded, so I could find out what's going on. But I ran out of time.
You gotta fill me in. I'm still way behind. I think I'm only on see 3, the beginning.
I don't know what season it is. I don't even look, because you just play from where you left off.
Keep going. Oh, I do have to share a funny little story for you. You'll appreciate this. I swear, I'm turning into my mom. This is something she would do if she knew technology, because, she does these hilarious little things all the time. And Mom, we love you. I know you're going to listen to this because you're super supportive. I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying you're just fun, and you do all these fun little things, and we love it. You entertain us. But, so Ava wanted to color the other day, and she was like, "Oh, I want to color, and I really want Chase to color with me." And it's hard pressed to get him to sit down and actually color, but she would do it for hours. So she's looking for a certain picture. So I printed it out for her, and then I said, "I'll find something for Chase." So I was looking for a Christmas fortnight coloring book, page or something, and I really couldn't find anything. So then I was like, "Oh, the Grinch, perfect. The Grinch he loves the Grinch. I'll find something simple." So most of the pictures I was scrolling through were just a lot of coloring, sleds and people and townspeople and stuff. And it was kind of grainy. And then I came across this one that was just him in a wreath. It was just his face. And I'm like, "Oh, it's perfect. It's super simple. I love it." So I hit print. I'm like, Abe, grab it off the printer. You guys go color. I'm going to start editing because that was kind of my time to sit and do my thing. So apparently I didn't take a close look at what I had printed
he like
out.
flipping people off or something?
Oh my gosh. So Ava comes back and she goes, Mom, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure this is not appropriate for Chase to color.
No.
And I look at it and it's the Grinch coming out of this wreath and his middle finger is like 5 inches high on this page with a bow on it. He's flipping people off.
Yeah,
Like,
I totally imagined that.
It was an adult coloring page. I was like, sorry.
Just black out his hand.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
She's like, it's a good thing you didn't, take a picture and send it to anybody after we were done coloring. I'm like, oh God.
That would have been the best.
That would have been the best. Like I posted on Facebook, look at the kids color.
Oh my gosh, I would have been like,
start questioning my parenting.
She's lost it.
So please don't print out adult coloring pages for your children this year.
Or do.
Take a look. Or do. It could make things very interesting. We need a little more interesting in our lives. So, yeah.
Well, that's fun.
But I can't wait to hear your story.
So I'm super excited about my story. I'm usually excited about my story, but I'm really excited about this one. So this month we're kind of going to do holiday crimes. I guess that's probably not a big shocker. We're not super creative at that point.
Yeah.
But it's any type of holiday crime, right? It doesn't necessarily be like
but it's kind of fun to have like a theme or not really a theme, I guess, but like a direction to go when we're doing the researching.
Or you could never. I would have one.
I
would spend 1 million hours trying. Like, oh, should I do this one? Oh, should I do this one? So it's nice to have a little bit of guidance. So today I'm going to tell you about the Los Feliz Murder House. Ooh. Have you ever heard of it?
I have not.
Okay, so this is one of like the craziest stories of all LA history.
Okay.
I have never heard about the story, so when I came across it, I was, of course, completely sucked in because the story is twofold. Like, it's kind of got two parts to it. It all begins with this super smart and successful guy, Dr. Harold Perelson. And when I say smart, I mean brilliant. So some of the things you'd probably find on his resume. He was a well-known surgeon who specialized in cardiothoracics and allergies. He gained a successful patent for a new type of syringe. He had written one of the most respected clinical reports of the time, the electrocardiogram in familiar periodic paralysis, which was featured in the magazine American Heart Journal in 1949. Of course, I'm a geek for all these things.
Yeah.
He was a well-respected keynote speaker in medical conferences all around the country. He was an assistant head of cardiology for the School of Medicine at USC. He was on the surgical teams of cardiology at Los Angeles County General, Cedars of Lebanon Hospital, and the Santa Fe Hospital of Los Angeles.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah,
very impressive.
By all accounts on paper, it was a storybook. Wealth, fame, success. But we all know sometimes that's just not enough.
Right. Wow. Okay.
As usual, I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm going to tell you about the making of Harold and his success and ultimately his demise. So Harold was born on February 1st, 1909 in New York to parents Henry and Molly Perelson, who were part of the 13.5 million immigrants who left Eastern Europe in search for their version of the American dream.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so Harold grew up as the oldest of 4 children in Queens, New York. Early on, he was discovered to be gifted and having an entrepreneurial spirit. He was sent to medical school, and as we know, second-generation immigrants at this time were kind of thrust into roles in like serious careers. Mm-hmm. So the parents had sacrificed a bunch when they came over. Yeah. They were willing to sell their souls to make sure that the next generation was going to have a better life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's exactly kind of where he fell into place. So after medical school, New York was kind of a tough place for immigrants, being a large population there. He decided to move to Southern California, and he took a job at the Inglewood Physician's Office. He had continued success as he published papers that I told you about in the field of neurology, and he became a professor at the USC School of Medicine. Harold was doing extremely well. He married Lillian Silver from Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, also a second-generation immigrant. Mm-hmm. The two went on to have 3 children, Judy, Debbie, and Joel. And with Harold's abundant success, they decided they were going to start shopping for their dream home.
Okay.
And they started shopping in the hills of LA. And with a price tag of $60,000, they found their dream home in the Los Feliz neighborhood. So today, that would be about $660,000.
Okay. I was wondering for
Yeah,
the
so-
time. Yeah. So I'm glad you answered that question.
I'm like, I have to calculate. So a little bit about the home. It was located at 2475 Glendower Place. It's a Spanish Revival style home that was originally designed in 1925 for Harry Schumacher by architect Harry
Ooh.
Weiner.
Ooh, okay.
Right, yeah.
I wanna see
Some fun.
pictures.
Oh, I have lots of
Oh,
pictures.
good.
I have lots of good stuff for you.
I love houses.
After Schumacher died, the house was sold on December 6th, 1932. Remember this date?
Okay.
The house was then occupied by Frederick Zelnick, a producer-director of German silent cinema who fled London in 1933 when Hitler took power.
Ooh.
So the house has a little bit of history.
Yeah.
He produced movies in LA and lived in the home until he died in 1950.
Okay.
So now enter Harold and his family,
Okay.
the Perelson family. They purchased the home in the 1950s, and the listing read as a delightful 12-room home with terraced lawns, artistic gardens, and a magnificent view. The spacious tiled entry hall and stairway led to a charming living room, a glass conservatory, dining room, den, breakfast, and kitchen. Upstairs on the second floor had 4 master bedrooms, 3 baths,
4. Wow.
while the third floor boasted a bar and a ballroom.
That sounds amazing.
There were staff quarters too, though the
Okay.
Perelsons' only help was a teenage babysitter who lived across the street, Sherry Lewis. So they didn't actually have any help, but they did have staff
Mhm.
quarters.
Who needs a ballroom? Can I ask?
No, does that sound amazing?
It sounds amazing.
The house
I want
looks
to
pretty
see it.
cool.
I mean, it doesn't sound like something that I would go for, obviously, but it just, I want to see it anyway.
Yeah, it
Cool.
sounds really nice.
Yeah,
right?
it does.
So, in an article on Medium.com, Jeff Mash interviews the Perelson babysitter Sherry Lewis, who had grown up in the cottage directly opposite the Perelson family. And she was actually 14 at the time of the event that I'll later describe.
Mhm.
She currently resides in Beverly Hills and has a successful dental practice. And when Mash asked her if she saw any hint of violence in the doctor, she said there wasn't anything strange or bizarre. He is a quite mild-mannered man, and he gave good injections.
Oh. Okay.
So, sounds creepy, right?
Yeah.
So the injections that Sherry refers to is that Dr. Harold Perelson was also known as an injection specialist.
Okay.
On December 30th, 1938, he filed a patent for a medical device that he invented.
The syringe?
Mhm.
Okay.
Pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
Like, smart, right?
Yeah.
The device he designed was an attachment to a hypodermic syringe, allowing drugs to be directly injected from the sealed glass capsule. So
Okay.
then you would no longer have to draw up. You know how like nurses draw up like from a
So
bottle?
you just insert the vial and then go.
Yeah.
Got
So
ya.
you would like, there's a
Mhm.
connection between the actual syringe that you would use to inject and the vial, so you wouldn't have to draw it up.
So does this in theory prevent like any extra air bubbles?
Right.
that
So it
could
can,
occur?
it would
Okay.
like no contamination,
Right,
no
right.
spillage. Right.
That's awesome.
So, he spent over a decade developing the device, and in 1949, he entered into a verbal agreement with a gentleman, also a possible friend. Depending on resources, the sources that I looked at, some referred to him just as like a business partner. Other referred to him as a friend of Harold.
Okay.
His name's
So just a handshake agreement? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, Harold.
that doesn't sound right.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Edward Shoestack. So this man was supposed to turn the general idea of his invention into a medical hit. So basically, Edward was supposed to kind of market it,
Yeah, okay.
make it usable, get it into the hands of other people. Perelson and so Harold and Edward, they agreed to split the profits. Harold and Lillian sunk in $24,496 into this project.
Okay.
$7,000 of it came from Lillian's own personal savings. Today, that would be about a $260,000 investment.
Mhm. I was doing the math in my head from the home. Yeah.
It's a
I was
lot.
thinking it was right
It's a big
around.
investment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So
It's a big investment today. I mean, That's huge.
Yeah, that's huge. Not a whole lot of people in this time have an extra $260,000 laying around. Right. So he obviously did very well to have that to invest. Yeah. As we know, handshake agreements don't usually turn out very well. So this agreement would eventually end up in court. Edward was a fraud, and he never had any intention including Harold in any of the money earned from the invention. Mm-hmm. Harold sued him and demanded compensation of $100,000, which would be a little over $1 million today. The case was long and drawn out in 2 years of super expensive legal processes, and in the end, the court awarded Harold a meager $24,956. So not even as much as he invested.
So did it say how much they made, or this man made from this invention?
I don't know if he made anything, or if his profits were ever even reported. It sounded like he went out of his way to cover it all up.
Okay, so
there was even, I didn't go into too much detail, but there was even a point where he was using another name, I guess.
Oh, okay. So he could have been selling these on the side to who knows where and making this extra money and putting it into a different named account.
Even, so it says that this also, we don't even know if it ever actually made it to a market. So he might have just had some made to be used, or he could have been even, what it sounded like, maybe trying to sell the idea.
Okay. But maybe just wasn't successful in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might have gotten halted. It sounded like maybe Harold got wind of what was going on and, Yeah. Okay. It was kind of like you could go on a whole nother tangent in that story. But unfortunately, they lost a lot of money.
They lost a lot of money, and that was a huge disappointment. He just chose the wrong partner.
Yes.
That's awful.
That stinks. But it gets worse. As it always does. So more legal woes for the Perelsons. Only 3 years later, on November 3rd, 1957, their oldest daughter, Judy, was involved in a car accident. Oh. So she was driving her brother and sister in her father's 1952 Oldsmobile, crossing the intersection of Vermont and Los Feliz Boulevards, and she collided with another car. Judy had suffered hand and knee injuries, concussion, and she was in severe shock. Joel, the little brother, had a head injury and severe shock to his nervous system, and I think these were terms that they used to use.
Yeah.
They sound kind of...
They sound a little dated.
Silly now. And Deborah's cheek was sliced open. The other driver, Eleanor Keller, claimed that Judy, then 16, drove through a red light without looking. Of course, they didn't have red light cameras or any of those things, so I don't know if anyone could really say what happened. Right. Harold was very upset, and he took the Keller family to court, claiming Eleanor's carelessness and negligence caused the crash. Harold... I don't know if he was trying to make, not to be mean, but I don't know if he was trying to make a little bit of extra money, but he was a little overzealous with his demands. Oh. He demanded $20,000 in damages for each of his daughter and $10,000 for his son.
Okay, yeah, wow.
That's a lot
yeah.
Technically no hospitalization. Yeah, it's a lot. For a fender bender is what it sounded like. He won, but the court only awarded him enough money to cover medical bills.
Okay. Well, and I feel like that's fair.
Sounds fair, but obviously the financial concerns, they began to build for the family because, again, he decided that he was going to pursue this legal dispute and spent a lot of money and didn't get the outcome he was wanting. So a letter was found that Judy wrote to her aunt just before the tragedy that read, "My family are on the merry-go-round again. Same problems, same worries, only tenfold. My parents, so to speak, are in a bind financially." Oh. So Judy knew what was going on. I don't know if her siblings did. So some also believe that the money problems had also taken a toll on Harold's health. Reports say he had a couple of coronaries, which obviously is a dated term for heart attack. Yeah. And had significant stays on the coronary ward. But all during this time, Sherry, remember the babysitter across the street, she remembers seeing just towers of shoeboxes in the home because they never stopped Judy from shopping. She was also driving a sports car while in high school. Oh, okay. So the family's spending habits weren't necessarily reflecting their financial decline.
So they were just spending money like they were probably used to and didn't budget when they needed, when they realized that money wasn't coming in as fast as it was
Their
going out.
lifestyle
Yeah.
wasn't able to stay the same,
No.
but I don't think Harold was coping with that and wasn't able to maybe reel in the family's spending habits.
Right. And maybe he felt like it would just be a disappointment to say, you know, we see it all the time.
Yeah,
It's sad.
it is. Because it's a lifestyle change and they're not used to that and you don't know how to disappoint them. And
Right.
All right, so on December 6th, 1959, remember December 6th?
December 6th, I remember.
So December 6th was the day the house was originally sold on. And then December 6th, 1959 is kind of the culmination of events.
Okay.
Harold came home from work. He greeted his family. He fixed himself a drink, and he watched his wife wrap Christmas presents while they waited for dinner to be ready. So it's very like isn't it Rockwell?
Oh, yeah, the Rockefeller.
Not that.
Norman Rockwell paintings?
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. Like very like she was the perfect housewife. He came home. The kids are doing their homework.
Here's your nightcap. Yeah. I'm going to wrap some presents. The children are all nestled in their beds.
It was a very, so there's a tiny bit of controversy in this area because the family was Jewish. So why was she wrapping presents? Why did they have a Christmas tree? Well, they began celebrating the holiday with friends and coworkers because they loved the sense of community that the holiday brought to their family.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So they just embraced it as a community event.
So did they celebrate? Did it say that they still celebrated Hanukkah too, or did they just do Christmas?
I believe so.
Okay,
I believe so. I think that really the Christmas thing was just for community. Like we're gonna go to the holiday party.
Yeah.
I don't believe it was a religious.
Correct.
It was just a community social event.
And social, yeah. I get that.
So they gathered for dinner. They chatted about work and school. The picture perfect family, like I said. A little TV, and then Lillian and Harold took their two youngest children, 11-year-old Debbie and 13-year-old Joel, into bed. Judy went on to do homework in her bedroom, and Lillian read in her bed in the master. Harold returned upstairs after his wife was asleep, and he began to read his copy of Dante's Divine Comedy.
Oh.
I don't know much about that, but what I do know, it's very dark.
I was going to say, and there's another one too. What am I thinking of? Dante's Inferno? What is that? Is it like that? Maybe along those same lines? Is it like...
I'm not sure.
I don't know either. But when you said that, it made me think of something dark. So
yeah, it's dark.
Okay.
So around 4:30 a.m., Harold woke up. He went down to the kitchen and to his small tool chest that he kept in that area, like a little fix-it, you know.
Like, I have one
like
of
almost
those.
like in your junk drawer, right? Where you have like a little hammer and
Yeah. I have my own little kit that I think it was like a housewarming gift from our realtor, and I was like, this is perfect. It's for me to paint like little
tiny things,
stuff,
right? So he goes into a small tool chest where he picked up a ball peen hammer, which is not like a normal hammer.
Yeah.
He then went back to the master bedroom where his wife slept, very peaceful and innocent. And while Lillian lay asleep, Harold stood over her and smashed her skull with the ball peen hammer, leaving an inch-wide bleeding hole.
Oh my gosh. Harold!
Yeah.
Why?
Harold snapped. He opened the door to the ensuite bathroom, and he passed through another door that led to his eldest daughter's room, Judy. He struck her, too, without warning, over the head with the same hammer.
Okay.
But Judy caught just a glancing blow and let out a blood-curdling scream, and it was a scream that was heard through the neighborhood.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
It actually woke people up.
Yeah.
Harold then told Judy, lie still, keep quiet.
Oh, okay.
But Judy was a badass, and she did not keep quiet, and she did not lie still. But the two younger children were woken by their sister's blood-curdling screams and came to find out what was going on. And then Harold, thinking that Judy was injured enough to stay put, he walked them back to their rooms and told them, go back to bed. This is just a nightmare. And then he walked away, dripping blood down through the hallway. Judy took... It's scary, right?
Yes.
It does not fit what was going on that day. So Judy then took that opportunity, being distracted by the younger siblings, and she ran down the spiral staircase across the front yard to the Lewis's house. So the babysitter, Sherry Lewis.
Yeah.
So she's, of course, like I said, the babysitter, the now dentist that was interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
She had her friend sleeping over, Shelly, and they said when they heard the screams, at first they thought it was a wild animal
Oh, okay.
because it
Yeah.
was just
Just a
crazed.
feral scream, like a yeah.
And then she said she could clearly hear the voice she knew to be Judy's screaming, "Don't kill me." So Judy ran across the yard. She ran to the Lewis's house. She was banging and screaming on the Lewis's door. Then she moved. She was banging on their French windows, covering them in blood. But they didn't answer the door because they were terrified. They didn't know what was going on.
They didn't know.
It was so
okay.
they didn't answer. Judy went to the next neighbor's house who did open the door, Marshall Ross. He let her in. They called the police. He told her to stay there. And while the police were on their way, Marshall went to the Perelson home. Upon entering, he found 11-year-old Debbie and 13-year-old Joe standing there on the first floor. So he told them to get out of the house.
Oh, thank God.
Then he climbs the stairs and he comes face to face with a very agitated and blood-covered Harold.
So he didn't kill the children.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Go on home, Harold told him, according to the coroner's report.
Just calm and just...
Don't bother me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and then Marshall, he watched the doctor walk into the bathroom, and Harold swallowed a cocktail of pills, which turned out to be Nebutol, which is a barbiturate, aka death in a bottle. Ooh. It's a very popular suicide drug. It was even used by Judy Garland, side note. To be certain of his fate, he then swallowed 31 small white pills, believed to be codeine or some sort of tranquilizer. Then he turned back into Judy's room where he laid down and waited to die.
Wow.
Yeah. Insane. So at 5:15, LAPD detectives Anderson and Pazzo arrive at the scene. It only took them 15 minutes to get there. Mm-hmm. Harold was on the floor, his head on a pillow, covered in Judy's blood, and the hammer was still in his hand. He was still breathing. They were shallow breaths, and unfortunately, he died before the ambulance arrived. Not unfortunately that he died because he's an asshole, but unfortunately he died, and we don't know what his...
We don't know what happened or
what happened
was.
Right.
Yeah.
The police gathered the pills and laid them on a dresser in the master, where they also found a copy of Dante's The Divine Comedy on Harold's nightstand. It was open to Canto 1, which read, "Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward pathway had been lost." So, in theory, he didn't leave a suicide note, but he did.
Yeah, right. Oh.
The coroner who inspected Lillian's body found that the whites of her eyes to be blood red, so she actually didn't die from blunt force trauma, but she died from asphyxiation. She drowned in her own blood.
So it knocked her unconscious enough that she didn't
she just
wake
suffocated.
Up, but she
probably couldn't move. She was paralyzed.
Oh, that's just awful.
So she probably laid there and listened to all of that go down with her family. I can't even imagine.
I can't either. This one really is. This one's shaking me to my core. It's awful.
It's like that.
You just don't.
Well, it's everything we talk about all the time with the Family Annihilator, right? This was in 1959. They didn't just start now. We just hear about them more often.
We do, and I know we were kind of staying away from them for a while just because we didn't. For whatever reason, we just didn't want to go there for a while. But this is why. Oh wow. Wow. Keep going.
So, some say that Harold had finally snapped under the pressures of his finances, and that, we kind of talk about this with Family Annihilators as well, right? That he decided that the death of his family was preferable to living into worry or living in poverty. He can't provide for them. It's the embarrassment. There's just...
It's like a male way of thinking about that. I don't want to put it in stereotypical, but right, it almost feels like that's like the...
Well, he was a provider.
He was
very successful. He wasn't going to be the doctor that he was. He couldn't live with that.
His life
family
wasn't
carrying his shame.
Right. His life wasn't going in the direction that he... Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I read a little bit from a couple of psychologists that commented on this story, and I didn't go into that because otherwise I'd be talking for days. But it was, according to them, this is very textbook.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's right. That's kind of where I was going with it. I just didn't put a psychologist spin on it.
Yeah. No,
You know what
I
I'm
mean, I'm
saying?
not a psychologist either, and I didn't want to go into that because then I have to start talking about these people
Oh, but it's so
and their
interesting.
credentials.
I want to
And,
talk about it later. When we
yeah.
finish our cocktails, we need
So
to chat about what
it
they
was
said.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So all three children survived the murder of their mother and suicide of their father. Of course, the hero in the story is Judy. Her screams and her run for help essentially saved herself and her siblings because, she was hospitalized, which nothing life-threatening. She was really just shooken up, and she did have a skull fracture. Uh, but it's completely believable that if Harold would have successfully killed Judy, he would have went on to kill the entire family.
You know that he would have. So you know what's kind of odd to me is I wasn't expecting the hammer. I kind of saw some of this coming, but I was thinking he was going to use some sort of injection while they were sleeping. Right?
Yeah, because that seems more his.
It sort of surprised me that he didn't do
But
that.
it was very, well, it won't be. I'm going to tell you this part. So Sherry, the babysitter, now Dr. Lewis, the dentist, in her interview, she had shared that her father was an attorney and that he took it upon himself to look into things a little bit, which is probably not legal now, but probably could get away with it then.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine you could get away with this now. But he got his hands on some court records, and it came out that Harold's coronaries were not coronaries, but suicide attempts.
Oh.
And so we know they comment about how it's not atypical for someone who has suicide attempts then to go after the people who they believe have created the problem. And it came out that his wife and or doctors were going to have him committed and that she had to do it at the end of a certain discrete period of time.
Oh, okay.
So that, because it very conveniently
so did
that
he maybe
he
know?
had an exact cocktail, suicide cocktail, that he went to the bathroom and got immediately. That's not normal either.
No, he had that planned.
So kind of crazy, and so there's little to be found about the Perelson children.
Okay,
they were never in the media. You've never heard of them, right?
No,
you've never heard of their story on People Magazine 20 years later, how they've overcome their tragedy.
No.
There's nothing about them.
Maybe they had their names changed and
it's really, so it was originally thought that Harold's family had taken guardianship of them, but after some investigating, they found out that there was court documents that Lillian's sister, Gertrude Sayland, had petitioned to take over the children's compensation payments from the car accident they were in. So she must have them. She must have had them. Gotcha. But yeah, it's...
You know what, though? Good for whoever took them in, keeping them out of the spotlight, because I'm sure they just wanted to forget and live a normal life, and that's what I would want to do. I don't know that I would want that 20-year interview.
No, but you know what I'm talking about. Like Baby Jessica, all these people just keep popping up.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the other thing you hear about is the fame that they didn't want that ends up somehow being really hard to deal with.
Yeah. 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 The interview on the 5-year anniversary and this and that. So they're nothing, little to nothing is known about them today.
Oh, I think that's good.
Yeah, good. Good for them if that's what they wanted. But here's the twofold, right? Now the home itself takes on a whole other story.
Ooh. Okay.
After the murder-suicide in 1960, the mansion was sold in a probate auction to Lincoln Heights couple Emily and Julian Enriquez.
And they knew what they were getting into, right?
It wasn't they never moved in.
Oh.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
They never moved in. No one did. They used the home for storage. People would see them coming and going. They would bring boxes, but they never stayed. From 1960 to 1994, they never spent a night in the home. They passed away, and their son, Rudy Enriquez, inherited the home.
Okay.
So their neighbors had high hopes.
Yeah.
Right? This person is going to remodel. There's going to be some renovations. They're either going to move in or rent it or sell it. But nope. The home remained frozen in time. It was essentially a crime scene time capsule.
Oh my God.
The house was never emptied. It was never updated. The Perelson's family's furniture and decor remained exactly intact as it did that December night, including the Christmas tree.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
I have chills when I think about it.
I do too.
What the hell? What is wrong with these people?
Why? You don't know? They didn't ever say why?
They never said why. Like, they asked Rudy if he thought that it was haunted, and he would just make very vague comments like, oh, just say your prayers at night. But no, they never moved in. They never moved in. The only change that was made was by Rudy was that there was an addition to, like, a alarm system. But it wasn't a fancy one. It was just like, don't come in the door. And it didn't deter much. So Rudy refused to sell. He was asked by many people to sell. And then the home became an attraction.
Okay, yeah.
It's the Los Feliz Murder House. I'm like, let's go, Tara. Girls trip. We gotta drive by, get a picture taken.
Oh, I'm
sick and twisted. But
yeah.
So homeless people were camping in the backyard. There's ghost hunters. There's even people picnicking. I cannot believe it. Among other things, right? People were breaking in.
Yeah.
It just, these poor neighbors. The neighbors got together and they would try to, like, paint the front of the house because it was in disrepair.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't live there. They didn't care. They owned it. I don't know why they bought it, and they never moved in, and no one even said anything.
That's crazy.
Crazy. Same stuff. They never emptied the house.
Wow.
The people's beds, furniture. Oh. It was like a time capsule.
Yeah. And is it still all there?
No. I have more.
Oh, okay.
So Rudy Enriquez passed away in 2015, and because he had no heirs, the murder house was put up for sale the following year, and the real estate agents were tasked with clearing out the house to preparing for purchase. It finally hit the market in March of 2016, and this is the first time in over 60 years. So for 60 years, that stuff sat in there. Never touched. Never moved.
That's cool.
So it was listed with an asking price of $2.75 million. Is that not crazy?
Oh my gosh.
Even in complete disrepair. So
did somebody buy it?
They did. So even, after decades of neglect, of course, it's beautiful, right?
Oh,
where it is and the location. And it was bought by attorney Lisa Bloom and her husband, Braden Pollock, in June of 2016 for $2.3 million. And they were asked about the property's dark history, and Bloom was quoted in saying, "I don't really believe in ghosts and spooky spirits. The house didn't do anything wrong. The house is innocent." The couple started remodeling. They took the entire place down to studs, but they left the exterior intact.
Oh, okay.
Out of nowhere in May 2019, the house is listed again.
It's listed again?
It's listed again.
So they didn't move in?
No, they never finished it. It's still in studs. So May of 2019, it's listed again at a price tag of $3.5 million.
Did they say why?
They say that it's really just because of red tape. So she explained that they gave up because to have to bring the whole property up to code would ultimately, in doing what they wanted to do, would mean they'd have to, like, tear the house down and regrade and do all these things. So she's saying it's the perfect property for someone who wants that house gutted, but it's really better for, like, a developer who wants to tear it down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as of October, it actually sold.
This October?
This October, October 2020, for $2.5 million. But I actually have the listing. Because I'm crazy. And
That's
so
awesome.
I actually have the home listing, and so it's just sold. It doesn't say who it's sold to, though, so I'm assuming it's someone who doesn't want to be known.
Wow. That is cool.
Los Feliz Murder House. Is that not crazy? Yeah. It's a crazy story. That house sat for 60 years. The pictures, so there actually was a photographer who blogged about her entire experience. She took pictures through the windows of the house of all of the things, and you could actually still see Judy's name on her nameplate, like around her light switch.
Wow.
The pictures are crazy that she took from not even being in the house. But a couple of fun facts for people who like things that are creepy. One of the things that was said on the internet is that there was also another death linked to this house. that it was a 20-year-old Hollywood writer, and then 1931 he died from a mysterious infection after playing tennis.
Huh.
But he did not die at 2475. He died at 2457. So we must pay close attention to house numbers. And then one of the neighbors there, Cherie Watterson, she had told the Times that a friend of hers one night tried to explore the mansion, so she tried to break in, which a lot of people
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
broke into the house. So she snuck in through a back door, but she didn't get far before the burglar alarm sounded, and then her hand was throbbing painfully, and she had been bitten by a black widow. She had a red streak going up her arm. She had to go to the doctor to get treated, and then she said that 2 nights later, the alarm kept going off at her house. Like nobody was there. It was like a ghost was following her.
That is creepy.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, I mean, I could go on and on about all these like weird stories that happened to people that tried to visit there.
Okay. So I love all that stuff because I still remember when we went to go visit the LaLaurie house in New Orleans, and they were like, don't cross the street, don't walk in front of it. And they would tell us all the stories of the things that supposedly happened to people just going by to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like,
yeah.
Like it's cool and creepy and like
it's
sad
at
the same time,
and it's weird, but it's creepy, and we like our mysterious hauntings,
mm-hmm.
which I guess is a little bit more of.
But that's what I mean. Just that it has like that extra haunting story. I mean, hopefully she was okay after getting bitten. I'm sure she,
Yeah. And unfortunately
but a Black Widow? I mean, are they even common in that area?
I don't know. It's so crazy, the whole thing. And it's really, I guess it's kind of sad. I mean, it's not kind of sad. It's very sad. But that obviously Harold was having issues and wasn't getting the help that he needed.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and
they were sweeping it under the rug.
Hiding it.
Yeah.
So we know, obviously, today that's much more, we're striving for more social acceptance in that area. And if you need help and things aren't right, you don't have to hide it.
Yeah. Talk to somebody, get that help, that mental, it's nothing to be ashamed of to go talk to people. I feel like it's just, you're right, it's more acceptable these days, but back then.
Well, especially him. He was powerful and successful, and he was smart and brilliant, and he was surgeon at all these major hospitals. For someone like that to come out and say that they were having mental health issues wasn't acceptable. I don't even know if that would be acceptable now.
Well, he'd probably lose his job.
Yeah,
he would lose his job.
That's why people don't get help.
That's why, yeah.
Because, I mean, unfortunately, there's consequences. But, all right, well, I have a couple other fun facts just to lighten the mood.
We need it.
I know. Right? So, well, I don't know how fun they are because they're still about the murder house. But, so the Los Feliz Murder House, its address is 2475 Glendower Place in Los Feliz. So, there's a couple other famous houses in that area, Hollywood famous houses. So, the Frank Lloyd Wright designed Ennis house from House on Haunted Hill is on 2607 Glendower Avenue. So it's right there.
Okay.
And then did you see the doppelganger? I didn't see that. I believe it's with
No, I don't think I saw that.
Drew Barrymore. I didn't see that, but that's at 2421 Glendower Avenue. And then the movie Eye for an Eye.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
That house is at 2757 Glendower Avenue. Like all these houses, right? And then Donna Martin, Tori Spelling, her residence from the first season of Beverly Hills 90210 is at 2405 Glendower Avenue.
Wow, so they must use the houses on the street quite a bit.
And then even the Griswolds family home from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is around the corner at 2310 North Vermont Avenue. So if we ever wanted to make a trip out of this, we could see lots of famous houses.
Yeah.
All in a very, very short time. All very close.
We'll have to put that on our bucket list.
Right.
With all the rest of the things we want to see and do. I love it.
Just add that when we can ever leave our house.
Well, you know me, I like the fun facts and the trivia and the extra.
I thought. There's something to lighten it up. I'm sorry, that was a heavy story. And obviously I chose it because it was around Christmas time.
Yeah. Okay, well, I really appreciated your story. That was a new one for me. I hadn't heard that one, so I always love it.
I like when no one, or when you haven't heard them before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do remember when I was scrolling through, though, seeing a picture, and now I'm curious to see the pictures of this house, because I remember seeing, like, a picture of a house the caption below kind of caught my eye because it said it was bought, but it was only used as a storage shed and for cats or something, and I was like, what? I never read the whole story, but I wonder if
I
it's
bet
the
it's that.
same
I bet
house.
it's actually a really pretty house.
It was something I saw on Reddit. It was white.
Well, yeah, it's a Spanish style house,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they're all white.
I can't wait to
Yeah.
see it. I wonder if it's the same one, because I can remember. I was just looking at it last
When
week.
when we're done, I'll show you the listing. You can look over.
So
check out the school district.
Yeah, right. We'll see what's going on over there. Pool our resources and buy the house. Yeah.
We could start our own, like, people could come and visit and we could make it an experience out of it.
I guess
when
we better
COVID's
get
over.
merch figured out so that we can save up. Well, but we have kind of a cool flip the script today too, right?
Yeah,
like a fun one,
exciting one.
Yeah,
we're gonna turn this dumpster fire around.
We're gonna get healthy and fit while we're stuck in our houses. You and I get to continue our spin classes from home.
Yeah, so yay for us. We were our husbands gifted us Pelotons for Christmas.
Yay! I know. I feel like we should have some aviation gin and cheers to that one.
Know, right? I've been only talking about it for
months and months.
Oh God! Well, I mean, if you ask Steve, I've been talking about it for years and years and years. But he's been able to keep me quiet by me getting to the gym on occasion for spin classes. But I tortured him with 5:30 a.m. spin classes on Sundays when we met. He had to have loved me because I don't know anyone else who would have done that.
You were like, no coffee for you and let's go to spin.
Yes, it was so bad. We would leave parties and I'd be like, we have to go now. We have spin class in the morning. And he would listen.
That's love.
That's insane.
That's true love right there.
That's true love. And he would go and now when I was like, are you going to use the bike? He said, I never really enjoyed it. So clearly he went only for my company.
Aw, that's awesome.
But I'm hoping he loves it. I'm hoping the kids might jump on it. I know I'll use the hell out of it.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
I'm excited. We can actually coordinate and be like, but I love you enough to go to 5:30 spin classes like we used to.
Yeah.
But if you try to get me on the bike at 5:30, we'll see. You know me, I'm not a morning person.
No.
But
okay.
Maybe like 7-ish. I'll roll out of bed.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe on the weekends. I have to work out early because I have to go to work in the morning and the kids start school really early, so I can't do 7. That's, unfortunately our days just start a lot earlier.
I might have to shift my schedule because this is important. We got to figure this out. It'd be really fun to do it
Stella
together.
logs on at 7.
Yeah,
I have to be done.
You're right.
Like it doesn't
We're in like homeschool routine mode. Like we literally don't start school till like 9:30.
These kids need to get their asses back to school. All of them. Your kids, my kids, everyone needs to go back to school.
It's crazy how bad we need it. I mean, they really do need a separate teacher other than their mom. Like it's rough. I mean, it just is. I mean, I could sit here and be like, homeschool is amazing. And there are aspects of it that are good. I will say, like seeing what they're learning and being a part of it some days is really rewarding and awesome. But let's get down to the seriousness of the fact that they just need a teacher. They need a separate teacher and they need to be able to come home to mom, and I need like a minute.
They need to leave.
Like a minute. Like I have no downtime. 0. I'm either teaching, I'm mom, I'm, I have like all these hats that I'm wearing and it's crazy.
I know. They all just need to go back to school. COVID needs to go away.
Amen. Amen to that.
So mine arrives. I have my countdown January 25th.
February 3rd.
Woo! I hope I get a surprise.
Cheers to that.
Comes early. Cheers.
Our little cranberry vodka drinks today.
Yay.
Cheers. So, Merry to all of you. Hopefully you get all your... Is that a thing? Merry? Did I just say that? Now it's a thing. Merry to all of you.
All of you and everything.
All of you and everything.
I'll celebrate it all.
Yeah. All the holiday stuff. Everything. Christmas, Hanukkah,
Kwanzaa,
Diwali, everyone out there. And all of your things. We love you all. We hope you're celebrating. We hope you have some fun decorations up. Get that Christmas armadillo costume so you can talk to your children like Ross did.
You're so funny.
I'll cut that out. until next time.
Until next time, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we hope you can leave your house soon.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Bye.
Bye.